Now, the COVID-19 crisis has pushed businesses across all sectors to reimagine the way that they operate traditional models of growth, and they're failing amid the pandemic that continues to wreak havoc. It's truly the survival of the fittest, as the pandemic is forcing all industries to evolve and reinvent. Hello and welcome. I'm Priyanka Sharma and you're watching the Hard Reset E-Conclave. And in this session, the focus is on rebooting the insurance industry, from selling new policies to settling claims. The lockdowns in the wake of COVID-19 have pushed insurance companies to depend heavily on their digital architecture. New COVID-19-centric products and insurance policies are doing the rounds. But here are a few questions that need to be asked. Is the insurance industry well equipped for such a pandemic? What will be the long-term impact on the sector at large? And of course, what kind of innovation does the sector need to weather the storm? And on that note, let me introduce our esteemed panel of guests who will be helping us answer some of these questions. Joining us on the show are Yashish Dhaya, the co-founder and Group CEO of Policy Bazaar, an online marketplace for insurance products. Also joining us is Vibha Padalkar, the Managing Director and CEO of HDFC Life. And Prashants, MD and CEO of Max Life Insurance. Thank you so much to all of you for taking our time and joining us today. Now let's start our discussion with you, Yashish. As you know, the pandemic has had a significant impact on various insurance sectors, be it general insurance, health insurance, or even life insurance. So can you highlight which sectors have taken a hit and which ones have actually seen a steady growth even during this crisis?
Well, if you're looking at the digital insurance side, things have largely been on track. For the first 3-4 months, there was a higher demand for health, followed by life. Now, increasingly, motor has caught up. So general insurance is largely comprised of health insurance and motor insurance.
Right.
And life insurance has the term insurance and the investment products. We're not very active on the investment products. However, term insurance has been growing. And health insurance grew faster and continues to grow much faster than the rest of the products, because clearly there's a present need for health insurance, whereas motor insurance has really caught up. So on the whole, the online part is holding up. In fact, I think it's taking market share away in the general insurance side. In the life insurance side, it is online and offline both have been working.
Now coming to you, Vibha, now a recent report by PricewaterhouseCoopers states that COVID-19 fears have in fact pushed people to buy health insurance and term life insurance as uncertainty grows. So can you throw some light on that aspect, please?
That's certainly happening, and we're beginning to sense the pull of the market as well. This is really what we've been saying for the longest time, that term insurance cover doesn't cost as much as it is feared. It isn't as much of a black box as it is again feared. And we have really come a long way in terms of being able to give almost virtually over-the-counter term insurance, especially for younger population. And so the sooner one buys term insurance and say a 1 crore cover really doesn't cost more than what young kids would spend in a month over the weekends. So really the sooner one starts, insurance companies cannot reprice it no matter what. And the chances of one having lifestyle illnesses is that much lesser or negligible. And that penny drop moment has happened. And this is not just with COVID. We saw this after SARS, we saw this after MERS. Unfortunately, it has taken a pandemic, but I hope that this is that tipping point wherein every Indian, like every Indian, has to have their driving, the motor insurance if they're driving. Similarly, you have to have cover yourself and your family.
Right. Now, Prashant, coming to you in your expertise, what has been the economic impact on the insurance industry?
There is an impact. It may not be so much economic in that sense, because we believe that it's going to be only for short term. And by every passing month, I'm seeing industry come back. However, over a long period of time, I believe that it is going to have a very positive economic impact on life insurance. For the first time, people are understanding the value, and that will start to show up in the numbers going forward in the future years.
Now, Vibha, I'd like you to weigh in on my next question. Now, most businesses have been forced out of traditional growth models, as we're seeing, and there is now a pressure to reinvent as the pandemic shows no signs of abating. So what kind of challenges and pressures are insurance companies facing as of now?
Actually, I see these as opportunities rather than challenges, and companies that have been working on the digital and non-face-to-face journey would really see themselves being able to both service customers very well without any face-to-face interaction, as well as offer services, and Yashish mentioned this as well, whether it's through aggregators like a Policy Bazaar, or whether it is your own new ecosystem tie-ups like we have with an Airtel, or whether it is even with the traditional models. A lot of our agents are now embracing our platforms, which is a means of reaching out to the customers through non-face-to-face and entirely end-to-end interactions.
Right.
And on the servicing front, a customer today does not need to walk into our branch for anything. We're there if they want a face-to-face interaction, but they don't have to. So that's how I see us evolving. And there will be a mix of both. As we get out of the COVID situation, there will be some of it which will continue to be old world, and there will be a lot of new ways of doing things.
Next question is for you, Yashish. A recent study conducted by Policy Bazaar, in fact, says that the treatment for COVID-19 accounted for as much as 11% of the total health insurance claims paid by insurance companies during the first 5 months of the current financial year. So has this prompted insurance companies to invest more in COVID-19 specific products?
The regulator has brought about multiple COVID-specific products, both in general insurance and for life insurance companies. So both indemnity and fixed benefit. Indemnity is when you go to hospital, the bills are paid, and fixed benefit is you get a certain amount. There is also conversation now that these plans are going to be regularized. So initially they came out for 9 months. However, they could get extended. So yes, the industry has, and multiple players in the industry, I'm aware at least 20 players in the industry have brought out these products. The take-up has been good. However, from a claims perspective, it's only 11%. And what I was actually trying to say was a number of deaths because of cancer or because of certain other diseases has, during the COVID times, been multiple times the number of deaths from COVID. I almost feel like, non-COVID lives don't matter somehow to our, country or media. But, those are about 10 times more than COVID. And I think consumers need to think about that. So health insurance is a much bigger piece than just COVID coverage.
Talking about the policies and products, insurance companies have now started offering plans that cover coronavirus. So should this not be covered in general health insurance plans, in fact?
Yashish was mentioning there is a Corona Kavach cover which many people have adopted. And I can speak on behalf of Max Life Insurance. We did launch a rider. So different people have been taking different routes. The objective is to, of course, provide coverage and provide support to as many customers as possible. So you're right. It is a feature which has been recommended now because the experiences are still to evolve, and we are still to see how it pans out. And that is why there is no guidance with respect to pricing. So there is a bit of arbitrage with respect to how people are pricing it. But as experiences evolve, I think more and more coverage will come.
Over the years, the insurance industry has taken different steps to address risks related to different products, people and business infrastructure. So, but are there risks that have not yet been anticipated?
Of course, there are always risks that have not been anticipated. COVID was one such risk. Nobody had anticipated COVID to happen. And typically when you have insurance clauses, there are certain clauses in there that say, pandemics, etc., would not be covered. However, that said, the regulator has taken the proactive step and the industry has stepped up. And I'm not aware of COVID cases not being addressed by the industry. So they are being addressed, they are being paid out. And so the industry has gone, the regulator and the industry both have gone beyond their duty in making sure that anything arising, and it's rightly so because of a pandemic of this scale, in supporting the country and the population, making sure that all of these are paid. However, it is very difficult to ever cover any contagion just because insurance is based on 1% or 2% of the population is going to use it every year, right? Or whatever, a smaller percentage. If that suddenly becomes 50-60%, or I'm just making that up, or a very large number,
right?
Like if there's a flood and all the cars in the area get wiped off, then it becomes difficult for the insurance industry to also support it. However, at this stage, the insurance industry, the regulator has kept the industry in a stage where there is enough capital backing those the industry. There is enough safety built in. So there is no particular risk at this stage. However, yes, it is always possible that something is not anticipated.
Right. Vibha, if I may ask you, the success of the insurance industry is dependent on the performance of different industries. With no end to this pandemic in sight and businesses still struggling to cope, where do you see the insurance industry headed long term?
I think the story is absolutely intact. In fact, like we discussed earlier, the need for insurance is even more clear and percolated down, and there will be a bottoms-up pull as against it being perhaps seen as a push product. And there will also be innovation. There will be innovation in terms of how do you cover risks of individuals. There will be an equal emphasis on risk transfer from the individual to an insurer. And so I think we are at those crossroads of companies that understand this, are well poised towards this. One can either lament that COVID impact, or one can look at how things and how behavior patterns are going to emerge, and what do you do in terms of offering both innovative products as well as innovative ways of getting to the prospective customer.
Now, Yashish, just coming back to you, when it comes to health insurance plans, there is a lack of awareness among people, and some are even apprehensive about the process of settling claims with insurers. So how are you going to address it and encourage more people to sign up for insurance plans?
Sure. I think this is a genuine concern that the public has, that, the claims process is complicated, and during claims, people have a lot of difficulty. Look, if you look at data, wherever there is a cashless claim settlement, the claim gets settled in about 4 hours. And I don't think genuinely, the insurance industry is not the only one to blame here on the delays that happen, because it's a three-way contract, right? There's a contract between a consumer, hospital, or whatever service provider, and an insurance company. And if there is a delay in bill submission or delay in various pieces from the hospital, that also causes problems. Or if there is overcharging, that also causes problem. And it's a problem in India which needs to be taken on the chin. We can't brush aside this whole overcharging problem that's happening in the country.
Vibha, coming back to you just once, insurance companies have primarily adopted the work from home model. So how has the shift been in terms of cost structure, resource management, and of course, customer support?
I see ourselves as an industry, and even broader, even other industries, going through this paradigm shift. And if you had asked me before the pandemic that is this possible, I would have said I would have loved to have it, but no, we are miles away from being there. And suddenly today, all of us are working from home. HDFC Life, I'm talking about 20,000 people. And so large numbers and varied functions are working from home and not missing a beat. So yes, so how do we look at the gig economy? We've already started doing that in terms of if individuals have 3-4 hours to give us, we are fine with that. We also have seasonality in our business. We also have pockets of a lot of processing that is required for various reasons, and so on. And it works for them, it works for us, and it's also friendly on our P&L. Also women, for example, women who have unfortunately dropped out of workforce, but now have maybe again 3-4 hours to give of their time and working from home again. We would love to have, and today 50% of the new recruits that we have in terms of our financial consultants in our agency channel are women. And it's not surprising that the productivity is higher, their persistency numbers are higher.
Right.
And so we really want to tap into a labor force that can be highly productive, but on terms that are very different to pre-COVID. So a lot of that is happening. And also we will look at our branch infrastructure, all of that without affecting customer services in any manner. Customers themselves might want to be serviced in their time, on their turf, rather than forcing them to walk into our branches. So there is a paradigm shift in all our various stakeholders, and how are we going to engage almost into all the years down ahead. And again, companies that are very comfortable digital, the core is digital, almost like born to digital,
right?
Will find it easier to adapt.
Absolutely, and well said. Now, if I may bring Prashant in, so when the restrictions ease, would insurance companies go back to working like before? Or will the industry go 100% digital in their operations? And if so, how would it ensure a seamless working model?
I think it's going to be a hybrid model. So in some cases, of course, we do find customers insist our agent advisors or employees or direct workforce to come and see them. In which case, of course, while we are exercising all the caution, I'm just envisaging when pandemic is gone, I think people will continue to do face-to-face meetings. So it will depend on channels. For example, if you look at our banks, predominant part of sales happens is through footfalls of customers walking into bank branches. And that is coming back to levels which are 70-80% of how it used to be pre-COVID times. However, within agency and direct workforce, there is still a lot of sales which is happening digitally. But my sense is that from if immediately after COVID it was 100, maybe it will fall to about 40% after COVID is completely gone. But still, it's a big delta over how it used to be before COVID, where about 95% of the sales used to happen face to face. There'll be a transition, but it's not going to happen from 5% to 100%. It will be perhaps 5% to 30 to 40%.
Yashish, you heard what Prashant said. Can you also weigh in on the same and also react to what he said?
No, absolutely. I think it's going to be hybrid. I echo what Vibha ma'am said. Basically, we are certainly looking at the people coming in for 4 hours plus. So we've started, 20 hours plus. And I think that's going to 20 hours plus a week. And that's going to be the way things will proceed. And I also believe women getting involved will be fantastic, specifically the ones who find it difficult to get to office. I also think, we just had this one thought that the seat cost that we used to have has suddenly tripled, because even after COVID, I think that distancing will stay, and you can't have people sitting as close to each other as they were. And so what that implies is per person, the seat cost has gone up and making offices even more unviable than before. So I'm quite confident from a P&L perspective, we would keep reducing office space more permanently than just the COVID times.
Yeah, coming back to you, Vibha, I'd like you to weigh in on this. Now, major events have always left us with lessons. So what are the learnings for insurers in the long term?
The first one is that to have your eggs hopefully in several baskets. And by that, I mean whether it is your products that you have to offer, or whether the channels through which you're selling it, or your footprint across new ecosystems. And reason is that any pandemic or regulatory change or a global meltdown, some of your business model will be disproportionately impacted. And so that is number one. Number two is that for one to have an agile mindset, there will always be opportunities, and one should not belabor, whether it's a pandemic or anything that is a big disruption, a lot more than what it deserves. I think one needs to just quickly snap out of it and say, okay, I can't change this, but what can I, where is that door that is open? That is the second aspect. And third is that the empathy factor, empathy towards all your stakeholders. When you're going through a paradigm change, yes, the company is also struggling, especially in early days, but empathy, I think, goes a long way, especially towards one's customers, one's employees. And even if it is not friendly on the P&L, it goes a long way. And some things that we have done, especially towards our employees, for example, paying salaries on the 21st of March, in advance, just anticipating that this lockdown and people will have to stock up. Allowing work from home even before the lockdown, allowing expectant mothers to work from home almost at the beginning of March. Also having counseling. So we have free counseling for each one of our 20,000 employees. They can just call in. And today, 49% are male who call in, completely confidential, because of the stress that people are going through and will go through, of all kinds. That goes a long way. When the economy does open up, employees will recognize that the company was part of their suffering and part of their solutioning as well.
Now, just before we wrap up our discussion, I'd like to get some closing remarks. Will insurance companies emerge from this crisis as more trusted or less trusted, and why? I'll start with you, Yashish.
I think more trusted. People have realized the importance of insurance and the importance of insurance companies. And insurance companies have largely been there when people have had COVID-related claims. Definitely. They've definitely been alongside.
Right. Coming to you, Vibha, what are your thoughts on the matter?
I would echo what Yashish says. And just one point is, we are finding that the person buying insurance is no longer bargain hunting necessarily. It's no longer the lowest term prices, or no longer the highest IRR, or no longer the highest annuity rate. It's holistic, and that is a good progression towards risk management rather than bargain hunting.
Right. And Prashant, please weigh in on this too.
When an individual goes through such a difficult time, you look for partners who could take away your anxiety and give you the peace of mind, and who can play a better role than the life insurance or insurance companies in general.
Right.
And hence, pandemic goes over, I think it is going to create unprecedented level of trust for all insurance companies.
Now, just before we go, I can't let you all go without digging into your expertise a little bit. We know all our viewers are watching this. Any words of advice, insurance related, of course, for our viewers? I'll start with you, Yashish.
Always have your health insurance and life insurance in place. It's a necessity. And as Vibha ma'am said, buy young because you can lock in your prices.
Absolutely. Coming to you, Vibha, what words of advice for our viewers?
For the older population, please don't underestimate running out of your money. You are going to massively outlive your retirement age. Please look at that aspect. We've spoken a lot about pandemic, but also look at where inflation is. And if your money is in just some safe products, the danger is real. Please look at that aspect as well.
Absolutely. Coming to you, Prashant, some words of advice for all our viewers.
When our viewers or any customer buys life insurance, please focus on sum assured. Your sum assured has to be between 10 to 15 times of your yearly income, and it shouldn't be a small amount. As long as you're covered for that, you're okay. And if you're not, go ahead and buy term insurance.
And with that, that brings us to the end of this fruitful session. Thank you so much to all our guests for joining us and sharing those valuable and interesting insights on the subject. Thank you. It's evident that the road ahead isn't smooth for the insurance industry, grappling with pressing challenges. It's gearing up to cater to the new insurance demands of consumers. Marketing these schemes may prove to be difficult, as companies will have to rely heavily on their digital might. So while the pandemic may have changed the way people look at insurance and forced companies to reinvent their product strategies, therein lies an opportunity to reimagine new models of growth. And with that, it's a wrap on this session. Thanks for watching Hard Reset E-Conclave. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.